What's going on, everybody? I'm hoping everybody is having a wonderful Easter weekend as well as Passover holiday. Now, the Jaguars 2019 draft I think is extremely important for many reasons, and with all those reasons we are going to get into in this video. So let's get it. Now, when I look at this 2019 NFL draft, I really think that this draft class is going to make or break the Jaguars going forward. Now, we have 5 picks in the first 4 rounds, and really with those picks, I think we absolutely need to hit them. And here's some reasons why. The Jaguars, most of our producers are under their second contract, so a lot of them are making a good amount of money. You look at guys on a defense like Avery Jones, Marcel Darius, Calais Campbell, Telvin Smith, AJ Boye, all those guys are on pretty lucrative contracts. You look at the offense, you have Nick Foles, who's making the most money on the team. Obviously, they just signed him to a big deal. You also have Andrew Norwell, Brandon Linder, and Marquise Lee. So, all those guys are obviously pretty good producers. But you also look at the few guys that are actually entering their contract years, and that is Yannick Ngakoue and Miles Jack. Jalen Ramsey, we still have 2 years of control over him because of his 5th-year option as a first-round pick. So with those guys, with Yannick Ngakoue and Miles Jack, you're most likely going to want to sign those guys to new contracts. And after the Jaguars sign these 2019 draft class members, they are projected to have about $5 million left in cap space. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but it's actually the 15th most in the NFL, which is odd enough. We went from like the second worst team in cap space, and after cutting a bunch of guys like Blake Bortles, Carlos Hyde, Malik Jackson, we freed up a good amount of money, and I think we're probably going to be able to re-sign some of these pieces like Jalen Ramsey, Miles Jack, and Yannick Ngakoue, hopefully. But when you look at some of the younger talent that's on their rookie deals, there's a lot of question marks about it. Now, when you go to the 2016 NFL draft, obviously that was a draft with Jalen Ramsey, Yannick Ngakoue, Miles Jack, and stuff like that. Those are the 3 guys that are still left from the 2016 draft, and they're all entering contract years. We need to hit another draft class like that. Now, when you look at, the year's draft after that, there's really only, it seems like, one surefire guy from each of those draft class. When you look at the 2017 NFL draft, well, in the top 4 rounds, we were able to haul in guys like Leonard Fournette, who is obviously has great talent, but it's all about where he is mentally and where his health-wise is when it comes to his soft tissue injuries. You also have Cam Robinson, who only started 1 game in 2018 before tearing an ACL. DeJuan Smoot is looking like he's going to have to, as a bubble player, going to have to fight his way on the roster, which really stinks because we'll be committing an early 3rd round pick on him. And you also have D.D. Westbrook, who had a tremendous 2018 season, and I really think that he's a huge building block for the team. And you look at the 2018 NFL draft. We have Taven Bryan, who played a lot of defensive end last year. He's going to switch to defensive tackle this year, 3 technique, which is a lot better fit for him, but he's obviously still a question mark. DJ Chark spent a lot of 2018 injured, so he's a big question mark. Ronnie Harrison, he was our 3rd round pick, a value pick, and he's going to be starting at strong safety for us, so that was a very good pick. You also had Will Richardson in the 4th round, who's a right tackle. He's a guy that got no playing time. I don't think he got a single snap this year because he got put on the IR very early after being a healthy scratch most of the season, so he's a huge question mark. And also Leon Jacobs, who is the strong side linebacker last year. So really, in those 2017 and 18 draft classes, there's not many guys you can depend on those classes. Obviously, there's room for a bunch of potential, but it's hard to really bet on any of those guys. So it really makes you look at this 2019 draft class, and you're going to have to start drafting players to fill holes. When you look around at the roster, the offensive line, the left tackle is good with Cam Robinson, left guard is good with Andrew Norwell, center is good with Brandon Linder, but the right guard, there's a need for potentially a better starter than AJ Can, although it's not a huge hole. It would be nice if the value fits to maybe get a better guy in there. Right tackle, there's a huge hole there. Right now, it looks like a 3-way battle between Cedric Ogbuehi, who was a former first-round pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, who was a complete bust. He was one of the worst offensive linemen in the league, and he signed on the Jaguars on a veteran's minimum deal, making less than $1 million a year. You have right tackle Will Richardson, who I mentioned earlier, going into his second year after being injured most of 2018. We have no idea what to expect from him. And our third guy would be Josh Wells, who right now is a swing tackle. We kind of know what to expect from Josh Wells. He's more of a backup and coming in there when you need somebody to play. So it's a backup guy. Quarterback, we could potentially use a developmental guy, but we were solid at the starting position with Nick Foles. Tight end, huge hole. We need a day one starter, and I could see us drafting 2 tight ends in this draft. I think we need 1 huge impact tight end and maybe another guy in the later rounds. Wide receiver, we have a crowded wide receiver room, so it's not a huge need, but I will say that there could be a big need for a potential number 1 wide receiver, but it's so hard to find those. Like, we don't need a wide receiver that's good. We need somebody that is special. So it may be hard to find that, especially in this draft class. It seems like a weak wide receiver draft class to me. And I think we also are in need for a second running back, a running back in a third down role, a guy that can catch passes out of the backfield, can protect the quarterback well in pass coverage. I could see us drafting the guy maybe between the rounds of 4 through 7. On the defensive side of the ball, I think we are in need of a defensive end. Especially a rotational kind of guy, especially after Dante Fowler is leaving. Taven Bryan is moving to the interior of the line, and we don't know what kind of production to expect out of DeJuan Smoot. So, if we draft a Montez Sweat, that could spell some maybe trouble for DeJuan Smoot to make the team, although I am rooting for him to get on it. Defensive tackle, you can never use enough defensive tackles just because these guys are big rotational guys, although I don't see that as a huge need. Linebacker, not a big need, although I will say that I would be on the lookout for, I know a lot of people are going to give me hate for this, but I'm just going to say it. I don't think that the Jaguars will be able to afford 2 high-priced linebackers on the team. So I would love to keep Myles Jack in there. There's a chance that Telvin Smith could be a draft day trade. I'm not going to say I want it to happen, but I could say that based on his production from last season, he was a guy that was a liability in pass coverage, and he overran a lot of different stuff, and he's got a pretty high price tag. So it could be a position that the Jaguars may trade on draft day to open up for Myles Jack to move to the weak side linebacker spot and have Jake Ryan, a guy that we signed from the Packers, who has a lot of starting experience, a lot of tackles. He could be the true Mike linebacker. So, especially with all this stuff with Tom Coughlin calling out Telvin Smith and Jalen Ramsey, you never know what could happen. But I'll just say, be aware of that. You heard it here first. And also cornerback. Cornerback could be up for grabs. AJ Bouye, you don't want to cut him. He's a very good cornerback. But if we do find a good cornerback to replace AJ Bouye in next year's draft, he's got we would save $11 million by cutting him. So you never know with that. Safety, we have Jared Wilson starting at free safety, so that position is open. So, like I said, we have all kinds of needs for the team right now. Man, we got 5 picks in the top 4 rounds. I think you need to hit on all those guys and then maybe get a bonus pick when you hit on somebody in rounds 6 through 7 or in draft free agency, because please remember that we lost our 5th round pick from the Carlos Hyde trade. So, man, this draft is going to be extremely important. We need some of this young talent to start reaching their potential, especially guys from the 2017 and 2018 draft, because I look at it, the only guys I feel like I can depend on from the 2017 NFL draft is Dede Westbrook, and from the 2018 NFL draft is Ronnie Harrison. So, man, we need guys to hit. We need some weapons for Nick Foles. We need some good protection on the offensive line. We need some rotational defensive linemen, especially at the defensive end position. Tight end, huge hole. We need a bunch of stuff. And really with the Jaguars, I think the Jaguars can be good in 2019. I really do think that they can be good. Although we all know with the Jaguars, I think the potential is super high and also the floor can be pretty low. I think for the Jaguars to be successful in 2019, I think as well as hitting on the 2019 draft class, I think Nick Foles has to play well. I think we have to stay healthy. And I also think that Leonard Fournette will be a huge, huge piece. I like Fournette as a player. I mean, him when he's 100% committed. Like when you look at his college tape, he's a tremendous player, but he needs to be in the game mentally. He needs to keep his body well and healthy, stretched out, do stretching, go to yoga, do whatever you can to stay healthy, because really this team, this offense really seems to rise and fall with Leonard Fournette. So we need him to be good, back, and healthy. But yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on the 2019 NFL Draft and just how pivotal it is for us to do good. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Please drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And this UCF Jaguar with GenJag.com. And I'll see you guys next time.